Rob Kessler, welcome to Listening with Leaders. You are the inventor, co-founder, and I guess owner of Million Dollar Collar. And you can be found, or the shirts and shirt stays that we'll be talking about can be found at goTIELESS.com. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I'm not very good with titles, so I think that's probably a pretty good intro.
Okay. Shirt stays. Just briefly explain what a shirt stay is as opposed to a collar stay.
So a collar stay, obviously, it goes into the collar and keeps the collar from curling.
Right.
Well, I got married on the beach in Jamaica. I love wearing dress shirts and I hate wearing ties. So I took the idea of a collar stay. I made it 9 inches long and I put it down the front of the shirt where the buttons and the holes are. So I can wear a dress shirt all day long and it'll never collapse. It'll never fold. It'll never look terrible, especially when you have a jacket. You know, when you put on a jacket and it just ends up tucking under the lapel.
Right.
It will never happen in a shirt with $1 million collar. So the first company was $1 million collar, which is the technology that can be sewn into any shirt you already own. So for a couple bucks for the stays, and then $8 or $10 at your tailor, it's sewn in once, lasts the life of the shirt. We've sold over 500,000 units direct to consumer that way, and we've been trying to license this technology to these brands, but they all think that they know everything. So we said, screw it, we're going to make our own shirt, and we call that goTIELESS. So if you want to try $1 million collar in a shirt that's already made, they're $70. They're really great value, and it's already got the technology built in. Wrinkle resistant, bamboo stretch fabric. They're pretty awesome.
All right, great pitch. What's your backstory? How did all this happen?
Well, I started cutting grass like most kids. The one thing I think that was different for me is my dad gave us, we had like a $5 allowance, but he gave it to us with the intention. We also had to pay for lunch, school lunch. So on Sunday night, me and my brother and sister would get our $5 allowance and our school lunch money on Sunday night. And he taught us this financial responsibility at 10, 11, 12 years old. And he's like, look, if you want to party on Monday and Tuesday, you're going to starve on the rest of the week. So you learn quickly how to save money and get by with enough food. So it started with that. I was cutting grasses. I don't know why, but I was 13 years old cutting grass. Did my dad's house, then did the neighbor's house, and did another neighbor's house. And I would just literally think, I'm going to cut this grass so good that someone's going to drive by and want me to cut their grass. And I kind of lived on a cul-de-sac, so there wasn't a lot of traffic, but I still had it in my head that somebody was going to ask me to cut their grass.
And what happened?
I had my couple of neighbors. My dad paid me, I don't know, $5, and he said, enjoy the roof over your head and all the food you have. And my neighbors were all paying 15, so I got to his when I could. But I did just a couple grasses, and then I've always kind of had a business mindset, I think. I got into a little soccer and volleyball store in high school, and day one, the owner handed me a key to the store. He handed me a code to the alarm and said, this is yours too, and really made me feel like I was part of the team at 17 years old, and then I had a vested interest in it, even though I was making whatever, $8 an hour or whatever it was. And I worked my way through that business, man. I would help with ordering, I would help with finances. I built this whole spreadsheet so we could track sales and do all the stuff. And it was really cool. So for 4 years, I did that, high school into college. I actually worked full time through all 4 years of college. So I was 2 years at that store, and then I went 2 years to work for my dad in the jewelry store. And then after college, I moved out of the city. My dad was opening his first store out of town. So I moved to that teeny little town in Appleton, Wisconsin, to open his first out of city store. I only lasted 9 months because, Milwaukee's not huge, but Appleton is like a fraction. So.
I've been to Appleton. I know what you mean.
Yeah. So I wanted to move back to Milwaukee, and my dad's business is that, he supported 150 lives. And he said, if I've got room, I'll fit you. If I don't, I won't. And he didn't have room. So I had this passion for cars. I went and sold cars for a while. I had some friends living out in LA. And so since I had worked all the way through college and never took spring break or summer break, I was like, I'm going to just I took 9 months off of life. I went out to LA and just kind of had fun. Came home, got into real estate, ended up buying 2 commercial buildings. We had 32 offices. My wife and I sold those for a massive profit. Invented $1 million collar. I had a screen printing business. After we sold the businesses, we bought a yacht, had a yacht charter business for 4 years in LA. And then about 2.5 years ago, we moved to Atlanta. So I'm doing the shirt business full time now, with profits from the boat business, and just figuring it all out.
You're a licensed 50-ton Coast Guard master. How did you get that license?
Well, we owned a little ski boat in Wisconsin, so I was able to use a lot of days on water from that boat. And then I had a friend who had a charter business in Los Angeles, and so he would take me out with him. As long as there's a captain on board, anybody can really drive the boat. So he would let me drive, and it's not really about the time on the water, it's that experience. And so, I was really getting to learn how to maneuver 40, 50, 60-foot boats pretty quickly once I got to LA. So did all that, and then we bought a boat, and I finished up my license and got licensed at the 6-pack as the opening license. And then after a few years, I had enough more days on the water to upgrade to a 50-ton master.
Wow. And so you ran a charter business as well. Party boat.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Is that in Marina Del Rey?
In Marina Del Rey, we did that. We catered kind of we called it, we had the only boat which is called an express cruiser. So most of these boats are these double-decker, big kind of liveaboard type of boats.
Right.
We had this low-slung, sexy, fast boat. So we were going 30 miles an hour up to Malibu, where these guys are going 12 or 15. So I can get to Paradise Cove in an hour, and we could drop anchor for 3 hours and then be back in an hour. So, and a 5-hour cruise, we're at anchor for 3. Everybody's had a great time. That was our big thing. So we started our prices pretty low and ended up being the most expensive boat almost the most expensive boat in the charter fleet. Definitely for our size, we're the most expensive, and then sold that business about a year ago.
Huh. And then you abandoned LA and moved to Atlanta.
Yes. Had to get out, man. The taxes were just killing us. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I know. I grew up in Southern California, got out right after high school, never came back.
Yeah.
But I still have family down there. So you got this collar business going now, or not collar, but shirt business going now. What is it that gets you excited in the morning? You get up and roar.
Every new customer that tries it, you never know who they know. Maybe a guy's owns a bar, a restaurant, or a hotel, and he gets one to try it, and then ends up hooking up his whole staff. So we've been getting some orders like that. I'm delivering some jewelry store shirts today. So it's just exciting. I mean, I never thought that I was going to change the dress shirt industry, but you look back at the way men dress for the last 15 or 20 years, and the tie has just completely gone to the wayside. And that's the most frustrating thing for me, which is also inspirational, is I talk to these brands. I was just talking to a very large retail store, and they're like, oh, no, ties are coming back. I can't be selling a non-tie shirt. We're selling ties. I'm like, I don't know who you think's buying a tie, but you probably got to sell 30 or 40 dress shirts to sell one tie. And it's the most frustrating thing. So I know once I pop that first one that it's going to go insane. So I always say we're playing that quarter game in Vegas where it slides the stack forward. So I've been feeding quarters into this for 7 years, and it's gonna knock that stack over soon.
Well, it's so interesting. I'm a lawyer. I don't practice law anymore. I've practiced law in over 20 years, but I look at my colleagues, and outside of the courtroom, nobody's wearing a tie these days. When I mediate or arbitrate, nobody is dressed up. The only people that I see really dressed up these days are the politicians in Washington.
That and people on TV, the news and politicians. And so I don't know, want to be either of those? Not most people don't. So
yeah, no, exactly. So you developed. I know in reading your backstory that it took you a lot of trial. You're like Thomas Edison, right? Thousands. This didn't work. This isn't the right way to do it until you finally figured it out. As you look at it today, what is it that gets you really excited about the business?
It's conversations. It's knowing that I've been grinding for 7 years trying to build this thing, and when that order comes through, I mean, so October of 2019. You could picture the time, not knowing what was ahead, but we were in the #1 seller of dress shirts in America. They sell 30 million men's shirts a year. They called us, so we went to meet with them. They were loving it. I actually got married. There's my wedding shirt on the counter in their shirt. So I was like, if you guys want marketing gold, here is me in my wedding shirt back 7 years later selling to you guys. They were going to do a 2.5 million unit test and then see how it went. And then it all worked out that, the world kind of imploded, and then they had some other issues internally. But so I know it's there. I mean, we've been on the doorstep a couple times. And so, now that we've hit 500,000 units sold direct to consumer, which is the hardest way to go, I feel a lot more confident going back and having these conversations again. I mean, most of those employees have turned over, so it's all brand new conversations with all these companies. But when one does it, everybody's going to get on board. And I loved LA for the networking and the type of people that I met. And one of the guys I met is friends with some owners of, multi-billion-dollar dress shirt clothing companies. And so he's starting to make introductions. He was actually a client on the boat. Came out a bunch of times, and we met a bunch of great people with him. But so, I've got a lot of great support. Everybody I talk to is very positive about what we're doing. And yeah, I hate what my shirt looks like. I got to do that. And, every new convert is just one more person. So I love it.
I think you're right. I think that once one manufacturer picks it up, the rest are going to have to.
I mean, at the end of the day, nobody wants to be technically first, but nobody wants to be last. So
right.
That's why we created the brand. I'm like, look, if you guys aren't going to license it, I'm going to build a brand with nothing really that special about our shirt other than the technology, and I'm going to force you to pay attention. So,
and how's that going?
It's going good. I set my goal at 1,000 shirts, and that meant I want to sell. My first goal is sell 1,000 shirts. And then it's sell 1,000 in a calendar year, and then it's sell 1,000 in 6 months, and then it's sell 1,000 in a month, and then a week, and then a day. So we're starting to tick those 1,000 shirt marks. Starting to move shirts. I mean, obviously in this business, I don't get a lot of returns with $1 Million Collar, but I get a lot of exchanges with the shirt. So that's a whole new thing that we're figuring out. But I love it. We've already ordered 3 times. We've got a new color coming in. And it's starting to get some traction. So, as we get into some of these businesses and talk to these where I'm selling 25, 30, 40 shirts at a time, 100 shirts at a time, that's really where I want to be.
Right. Is it all retail now, or are you selling any wholesale to stores?
So we're in a couple stores. We're starting that process. We've got a deal with one of the big, I was in the screen printing business. And so there's several companies you can order your blanks from. We're talking to one of those distributors to distribute, to that type of client that would look for, to be embroidering and doing. Right. Mm-hmm. So, kind of setting all those things up. We want the production in place. We started in China, which I hate, but we had to do it for the price. Now that we've gotten the volume up, we're moving to Sri Lanka. So we went from like a 250 piece minimum per color to 1,500 pieces. So that's a big step for us to move to Sri Lanka. So moving production to Sri Lanka. So that last order of China shirts is coming in right here before Black Friday. We'll sell through a ton of those and then be reordering again early next year. So
how do you set up the logistics in a place like Sri Lanka?
So through all my years of clothing and meeting people, I met a guy whose family is a part owner of a factory in China, and then he kind of manufacture reps to other factories around the world. So we worked really closely with him. We took a great selling shirt and said, let's recreate this. Let's change a couple things. Let's add my technology. So they had a really great baseline to start from. And so we've just kind of been evolving it through that. So.
And you feel that Sri Lanka is going to be more stable than working in China?
I just don't like the image of China. That Sri Lanka's quality is going to be a little bit better. The price is better. So overall, it's going to be good. It's the hard part is the lead time, is trying to understand that for me. I mean, when I had my screen printing business, if you ordered for me on Tuesday, I'd have them on Wednesday. I'd probably print them Wednesday or Thursday, and I'd be paid by Friday.
Right.
So I like that turnover. That was really quick for me. But, these take 90 days, 120 days from order to receive if we're doing them by boat or by air. And then it's such a significant difference in price to do it by air. So now I got to ship 3 sizes by air because I'm near out or out, and then the rest can come by boat, and hopefully they make it before Black Friday so we can fulfill these orders. And it's just like, I like the logistics, I like figuring that stuff out, but it's challenging for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be forecasting out what you, because you don't want to have too much. You got to have enough inventory, but not too much.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. I mean, I don't know about what's the trending color and stuff. So we're just like, okay, well, we went with the three most basic colors: white, black, and light blue, which is the #1 selling color in the world. And now we've added a white shirt with a navy check pattern. It's a nice big pattern. It's not like that gingham tablecloth looking shirt. It's a nice clean checker pattern. But we'll hopefully start adding people to the team where you're the designer, and you guys do this, and we'll start adding to the team soon. 24.
So as you think about all of this, what is it that's unique about you that you bring to the table that makes all this work?
So one of the amazing people I met in LA was one of the founders of Expedia, and he became a very, very close friend. And he said, you need to read Rocket Fuel. And that book is all about, there's an innovator and an implementer. And I am, bar none, the innovator. I will look at a situation. I'm a total problem solver. I mean, even with our boat, I went and said, number one, I don't want to drive that other kind of boat. I want to drive this kind of boat because it's kind of our boat, but we bought it for the charter business. But we were the only one that was that style. So I'm like, if everybody's going over here, I want to go over here. So I love to find a niche in any kind of business that I'm working on. And so I can do that. My boat business was super successful. The real estate was successful because of my wife. She is an absolute beast on the personality. We got to do this. We got to do this. We got to do this. She wrote the contracts. She did the liability waivers. She figured out the website. She's got a great graphic design. So she does all these posts. I mean, she's just incredible. So she's kind of the behind the scenes, but they said there would be no Disney World without Roy Disney, and nobody really knows Roy. Right. Walt would be out there writing checks for stuff that he didn't have money for. But I'm the innovator, absolutely, and she's the implementer. So it's pretty cool.
Wow, that's a great team. And she's enjoying the shirt business too.
She's part of it. I've got another partner. He's filling in that role for her. And she's a stunt woman. She is absolutely incredible. So she's out working on a new movie right now in Savannah. So she's out of town right now. So I'll see her in a few more days, another week, I think.
She's a stunt woman in the film industry?
Yeah, that's why we're in Atlanta. We left LA. She had no idea what she was going to do. We ended up meeting people, and they were like, have you ever thought about doing stunts? And she always kind of wanted to be on camera. She always kind of had that passion. Started training with people, and she's one of the most successful stunt women in the industry today. So
wow.
In 7 years. So been in I think 80. She's got 80 different things on her IMDb. So she's been in a ton of stuff.
So this show's called Listening with Leaders because I think that listening is a foundational skill of success and leadership. Give me your perspectives on how important listening is to you.
Yeah, I mean, my dad was a big Stephen Covey fan, and there's that one that is, listen with the intent to hear. Don't be listening to respond. And we all get caught up in wanting to get your point across. But it's definitely, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you should listen a lot better. I mean, I think the one thing that's made us successful so far in the clothing business is my ability to hear what the customer said. We actually launched through a Kickstarter well before I was ready. I hadn't even finished the design. We were going to come out with our own shirt. We did not get funded, but the unequivocal feedback from people willing to give us money was, why are you trying to compete with all the other brands? Why not license the technology? And why can't I upgrade the shirts I already know and love? And so my design was going to be this really big built-in, it was going to come from the factory like that. And I said, well, man, these people that are going to give me money said, you should do it this way. And so I changed the entire design of it. The entire direction of the company changed off of that feedback. And then over the years, it's been just more and more of that type of feedback. I'm a very customer-centric guy. I want to know that what I'm putting across is, I want to make it as easy as possible for someone to try my product. I also want to listen if they have an issue. So we ended up building this network of installers. We're in 650 dry cleaners and tailors. So I want to make it as easy for someone to just buy it, go on a website, find someone local that knows how to do it. I mean, we spent, I don't know, $100,000 going to dry cleaning trade shows, which is not the most exciting thing in the world, but we were in front of the people that had the stores, you know.
Right.
It's not the mom and pop, it's the guy that's got 10 or 15 or 20 store chain. That's who we want to talk to. So we're in all those places. I ended up starting out the clothing side by buying branded shirts from like Calvin Klein and Ralph Lauren and those types of places, and upgrading them ourselves, and then selling an upgrade. So, you know, you already know what you feel in a Tommy Hilfiger shirt. So why not buy a shirt you already know and then try the technology that way? If you don't want to go through the installation process, we've got a VIP mail-in service where you can just mail us 5 shirts and then, you know, we can upgrade them for you. So I always want to make it as easy as possible for the customer.
So how did the dry cleaning people take this idea?
So our first show, it's called the Clean Show, and we did it in Vegas, and we had this little tiny 10 by 10 booth, and we were next to like Dickies and some of these huge brands, and we had a line. It was like we were giving away $1,000 bill. I mean, people were like lined up to get involved. So the hard part, as you know, if you've ever been to a dry cleaner, is you walk in and you probably got some 16-year-old girl who's like, how many shirts you have? Do you have any stains? I'll see you in 3 days. You know, they don't sell anything. So we had to create all of the point of sale. We created flyers, packs. So if you buy 100 pack, we'll give you like 5,000 flyers. You can enter, like, just anything we could do to try to get them to not have to think about it. Because they make all the money. We don't make that much money. I mean, I want to do on the volume, but they're going to sell, you know, a good margin. So it makes it easier for everybody if they do it. And we convinced a bunch to do what we call the first shirt free. Because, you know, if a guy's going to dry cleaner, he doesn't have 5 shirts. He's probably got 30 shirts or 40 shirts. So if he'll try it in one and love it, which I know he'll love it. I mean, our dry cleaners that do it, they're like, yep, we give them one, and they come back with 20, 30 more shirts at $10 a shirt. You know, that's well worth the one for free. But, you know, their job is to clean shirts. They're not thinking about innovating and that. I mean, they're thinking about innovating and how can I clean a shirt faster or cheaper. They're not thinking about like these types. And a lot of them that had tailoring have lost the tailoring because that art is kind of dying. So it's just, that's been challenging. And that's why I'm leaning into the shirts more too, is just an easier transaction. Like buy a shirt, you like it or you don't, I mean, you can get it. So
interesting.
Always pivoting, man. It's just like you hit up against one roadblock. It's like I feel like I'm a Roomba sometimes. I just sit and like, okay, well, maybe this will work, and just keep trying things until, you know, something's gonna stick. It's just
it's so interesting. You know, I don't what I do professionally is teach people how to listen, and it's the same thing. It's the same. The Roomba metaphor is really good. Yeah, you hit the wall, that didn't work. Run across. Let me try this. Oh, that didn't work. And you're right. In a lot of this stuff, you just keep experimenting, knowing that you've got something that's really valuable, and it's just a matter of time until it clicks, and then you become a 20-year overnight success.
Yep.
Right.
We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary, so I started working on it a little bit after the wedding, so I'm on the verge. I'm within 6 months of being a 10-year overnight success. So
there you go. One more question, I'll let you go. What's one thing about you that we wouldn't know unless you revealed it to us?
I'm very curious. I think that's, and I don't know if that's like a very interesting fact, but I want to know. Like I started wake surfing with some friends. I mean, I tried wakeboarding a while ago, and I literally couldn't walk for 3 days after. I got a bad back. So wake surfing, it's totally different. I popped up, and I'm willing to fail. You know, I think the part about being curious, I think a lot of people get this ego and like, well, I don't want to try that because if I don't do it well, then I'm going to be a failure. It's like, well, if you're not failing, you're not trying, and you're just stuck in this little rut, and that's boring. I mean, we moved to Atlanta. My wife was here working. She started looking at houses. She said, this is the house. I want it. Make it happen. I've had my real estate license for 20 years, so I figured it out. There was 9 offers. 5 of them were cash, and we won. And 2 weeks later, after dropping that offer and getting accepted, I had our house in LA packed and we were gone. 2 weeks. Our
Wow.
whole house gone. I actually had to unbolt the front seat of the car because I have a 130-pound Rottweiler and another dog. So I needed them to have enough room to drive across country with our stuff. So.
That is crazy. If people want to get in touch with you, is there a way for them to do that? If they want to learn more about the collarless shirt?
Yeah, I mean, I think goTIELESS, we're building up the Instagram on that. It's a newer venture, so there's not a lot of people, but there's a lot of activity. goTIELESS.com is the website where you can get the shirts. I made up a discount code if you want to try them. It's LTL, listening to leaders, 15. So you get 15% off your order if you want to try it. They're only $70 as it is, or 2 for 110. So you're getting a great deal.
What's the discount code?
LTL 15.
LTL 15.
Yep.
Got it.
And then I'm on LinkedIn at Rob Kessler III because I'm the third.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot. It's been a great conversation.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been great.